The artificial intelligence chatbot known as ChatGPT has taken the world by storm in terms of hype and popularity. So, in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can actually invest in stocks that either are directly using ChatGPT or that are a big competitor to it, which I think is a super fun topic for a video. So I hope you guys enjoy this. But we're going to go ahead and break this video down into three parts. I'll leave timestamps in case you want to jump around. But first part, we'll start with just a quick intro into what ChatGPT is and why it's so important and how it's used. Then second part, we'll talk about how to invest directly in it. And third part, we'll talk about how to invest in competitors. And of course, along the way, I'll let you know what I'm personally doing myself too. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoy the video, but let's dive straight into this. Okay, so what is ChatGPT anyway? Well, it's an artificial intelligence chatbot that was created by an AI startup company called OpenAI based in San Francisco, which was actually co-founded by Elon Musk back in 2015. But we'll talk more about that in just a second when we talk about how to actually invest in it. Now, ChatGPT itself was officially launched in November of last year and has already become widely regarded as the most advanced AI chatbot in the world. Now, in terms of what it actually does specifically, well, first of all, the name ChatGPT stands for chatbot that uses the GPT-3 language model known as Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And what that is a third generation neural network that uses machine learning to search, analyze, and process giant amounts of data from the internet so that it can form human-like responses to any written requests you ask of it. And these queries can range from almost anything you can think of, like creating poetry or writing stories and essays with a similar style to one of your favorite authors, or giving you advice on how to plan a party, or how to deal with a struggling marriage, or how to solve complex equations, or even how to write code. Again, basically anything you can think of, it'll at least attempt to give you some kind of intelligent response to the best of its abilities. And it'll also store these interactions so that it can process them later to improve itself even more over time. So the more you use it, the more intelligent that it becomes. And it even tries to have a human-like sense of morals and ethics, although that's really based on how it was programmed, and a lot of critics think that it's kind of biased to certain viewpoints. But just on a very base level sense of morality, if you were to ask it, for example, how to break into someone's house, well, rather than providing you with that dangerous information, the chatbot instead tells the user that breaking into someone's house without their permission is illegal and would be considered a crime. So it instead recommends that you talk to a trusted adult or law enforcement if you have any concerns about someone's safety. And when the user clarifies that they are actually just wondering how to protect their own house from a burglary, well, then the chatbot does actually give a detailed response with 7 bullet point tips on how to protect your home. And of course, it can get much more complex than this, like for example, writing code, which I actually used to do myself, so I know how hard and frustrating that can be sometimes. And so getting a chatbot to fix your broken code, I think is pretty freaking cool. And of course, there are also huge implications for what AI means to the future of healthcare and finding cures to diseases and running the world more efficiently and all sorts of things like that. Although obviously there are many risks too with AI, and I think the overall concept can be a little scary sometimes, but overall it's still a very fascinating technology. As of right now though, ChatGPT is very far from being a perfect implementation of AI, and it's not going to instantly find a cure for cancer or anything crazy like that. And even OpenAI themselves admit that it has a ton of limitations and still makes all kinds of mistakes on occasion, and it can even give incorrect answers to many questions without actually knowing what is factually true at times. But overall, it's still amazing technology with a neural network that uses over 175 billion machine learning parameters, which at launch was considered the largest language model in the world, completely eclipsing what was the second largest at the time in Microsoft's Turing NLG model that only used 10 billion by comparison. Now, in terms of monetization and what this all means for the business side of things when we start talking about investment, well, right now OpenAI is still letting users try ChatGPT for free as part of their research preview on their website, but eventually this is a platform that many companies around the world will want to implement into their own businesses. In fact, CNBC searched through earnings call transcripts and found that even companies outside of tech were frequently mentioning AI and ChatGPT specifically as a way to improve their business. And we'll talk more about this in just a second, but just OpenAI themselves have already launched ChatGPT Plus, which is a subscription plan that gives more access and bonus functionalities for $20 a month. Investing directly in OpenAI stock, though, is not currently available in the open market as they're simply just not a public company. However, that brings us to part 2 of the video, because if you still want to invest directly in OpenAI, all you really have to do is buy the stock of a company that is implementing ChatGPT into their own products and services. And the company that is already doing this today is none other than the Windows and Office maker, the giant Microsoft, ticker symbol MSFT. And where they come into the picture is through their investments in OpenAI. Remember when I said that Elon Musk was a co-founder? Well, he actually sold his shares of OpenAI to Microsoft a while back, although he is still a member of the board of directors. But even besides that, Microsoft has now made 3 very large investments in the company, with the latest one being a multi-year deal worth billions of dollars. And while Microsoft hasn't disclosed the exact dollar amount, they are believed to easily be the largest backer of the company and are even reportedly working on another $10 billion investment that would give them ownership of almost half of the entire company. In the already agreed upon deals though, OpenAI has stated that Microsoft is now the exclusive cloud and supercomputer provider that ChatGPT will be running on for the foreseeable future. And through the deals, Microsoft is also able to integrate ChatGPT into their own products and services, which they've already started to do in their Bing search platform as well as their Edge web browser. On Bing, for example, you'll now have the option to start a chat in the toolbar by simply clicking on it and opening the AI chat box. And this is all in a move to revolutionize the whole web searching experience to include more complex queries and receive a deeper, more intelligent response. For example, in the past, you might only search places to visit in Paris, whereas now you could ask the AI to actually structure an entire week-long itinerary for your entire trip. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because Microsoft has been trying for years to break into the search and browser markets that are completely dominated by Google. As of this year, Google search controlled over 92% of the search market in the entire world, with Bing only making up 3%. And the web browser market is only slightly different, with Apple Safari taking a good chunk of it at close to 20%, but Google Chrome still dominates the market at over 65%, while Microsoft's Edge browser only makes up less than 5%. But with the help of AI, they may actually be able to bring in some much needed awareness to these products and finally start competing more heavily in these hugely important markets. See, ChatGPT alone has already surpassed over 100 million users after only 2 months of being available, making it the fastest growing platform in the world. For context, 2 of the most popular apps ever in TikTok and Instagram each took over 9 months and a whopping 2.5 years respectively before reaching that amount of users. And of course, Microsoft would absolutely love it if they are able to steal even just a piece of this market share from Google, since Google search alone generates over $160 billion per year. That is a gigantic amount of money to be up for grabs if you can steal some share of it. And to be honest, I'm invested in Microsoft myself, but improving their search platform is not even the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, because ChatGPT and just AI in general is only going to make Microsoft an even more robust and stronger company across all of their different products and services. For example, they can easily integrate AI into their Office suite, which, by the way, already commands the most market share in the world. And just imagine how much better Word and Excel can be if they're able to help the user with writings and structure and ideas and suggestions and equations and problem solving, all kinds of things like that. They can also use it in their virtual meetings app called Teams that competes with Zoom by giving the users access to AI right in the platform to collaborate and better problem solve and brainstorm and organize their work. They can also use it on Azure, which commands the second most cloud market share in the world, to add all kinds of AI functionalities for clients, which of course they already do. And they can even use it on some of their newest acquisitions like LinkedIn and GitHub. LinkedIn is the largest professional networking platform, kind of like the Facebook for professionals and job seekers, and ChatGPT could do all sorts of things there, like helping with resumes and bios and messages, to like messaging to recruiters. It can help with cover letters. It can help with more efficient job searches and all sorts of things like that. And then GitHub is the world's largest platform for coders and developers, and ChatGPT is already being used there for helping with coding and developing, and I'm sure it'll only get better and more robust over time as well. So the use cases for Microsoft and AI are really massive and will only grow larger over time. And if you want to invest in that, well, all you have to do is invest in Microsoft stock, which right now it is down about a quarter of its value from the top. And while it's never really had a cheap valuation with a current PEG ratio of almost 2, I actually think it's pretty attractive right now considering the amazing dominance you get in return with close to 200 billion in sales, 80 billion in profit, consistent growth year after year with another double-digit EPS growth rate expected over the next 5 years, which is amazing, given their size, and even a nice little growth dividend as a bonus as well with a low payout ratio, about a double-digit growth rate, and every year of growth since they started paying it almost 2 decades ago. Microsoft is already my number one largest stock in my entire portfolio, so I might be a little biased, but I still love the stock to this day, and I think ChatGPT only makes their future even more exciting for the long term. All right, so we've now talked about what ChatGPT is and why it's so important. We've talked about how to invest directly in it through Microsoft stock and why that's such an attractive package. But let's finish up the video now with part 3. Let's talk about how to invest directly in their biggest competitors of ChatGPT. And there are 2 stocks in particular, one domestic and one foreign stock, that I think are fantastic plays on the future of AI chatbots. So let's cover those right now. And the first of those is going to be pretty obvious in Google, ticker symbol GOOG, which is obvious since Microsoft is trying to steal market share away from them in the first place. And while Google has been investing in AI for just as long and as heavy as Microsoft, they really didn't expect them to release a chatbot so soon. And as such, Google management has actually started to panic recently, issuing a code red alert across the company, holding all hands-on meetings and moving entire groups from other projects over to their AI chatbot division to now release their own version called Bard, which is based on their Lambda language model that they've been working on for years. In fact, their language model is so advanced that one of the engineers working on it, you guys might remember this, one of the engineers that was working on it even went as far as to claim that he believed that it's become sentient, which is obviously pretty scary. Now, since then, that engineer has been fired for violating their disclosure policies, and Google has said that these claims by him were false and wholly unfounded. But either way, moving forward with Bard, Google is actually going to use a more lightweight version of Lambda, which may indicate that it's more powerful than people realize, and they'll still have some more advanced features that they can debut at a later time to keep people interested in it. Now, Bard is currently in preview for select members, but it should be added to their Google search platform in the coming weeks, which is a huge deal. In the meantime, though, Google stock is currently down close to 40% coming off of the pandemic, where growth is really slowing way down. But long term, I think it's an absolute steal at today's prices for one of the most dominant internet technology companies in the world that is actually trading more than 20% cheaper than the sector on a PEG ratio basis, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Google is, in my opinion, the best stock to buy in the market right now overall. But finally, the foreign rival stock that I think would make also a great long-term play on all of this is the Chinese version of Google in Baidu, ticker symbol BIDU, who actually commands the most internet search market share in China at 65%. What's interesting is that Microsoft actually commands over 11% there, so they're a much heavier competitor in China, while Google only comes in at less than 3%. Anyway, Baidu is really a beast when it comes to AI, as they not only hold the most AI patents in the entire world, but their deep learning platform called Paddle Paddle also holds the #1 market share in China, and they have a huge cloud computing platform. They have the first robotaxi service in China, and they even make their own AI chips as well that compete directly with other semiconductor companies like Nvidia. So you can bet that they've definitely been working on a chatbot of their own, and because Microsoft and Google are rushing to market, Baidu has now come out too and said that their own chatbot called Ernie will release next month and will feature an even larger language model than GPT-3 at an astounding 260 billion parameters versus the 175 billion that ChatGPT uses. From the top, Baidu stock is also down more than half its value despite having a big rebound this year. And while financial growth has been stagnant or even in decline in recent years because of the horrible macroeconomy in China, I believe that they still have a ton of future potential, and in the meantime, you can pick up the stock at a dirt cheap valuation of a PEG ratio below 1. And yes, I happen to own this stock as well. So there you have it, guys. These are my 3 picks for the best ways to really invest in ChatGPT and for its future potential. Really, I would consider Google and Microsoft stock to be very low risk. Baidu, I consider it high risk because, it is a Chinese stock and there's many things going on with that. And overall, the broader stock market is probably going to continue being volatile for some time. But long term, I do still think that these stocks have amazing future potential, especially in artificial intelligence. And I love owning all 3 of these stocks. But hey, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below. What do you think about these? What do you think about anything I said and about AI and these chatbots and everything else? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you're all doing well, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.